Hey, today I want to talk to you about the first book in the summer of John Green. Coincidentally, his first novel. Looking for Alaska. I apologize for my hat. You can see my hair is insane today. So, for everyone's benefit, I put a hat on. And it's a sweet hat too. Chicago Blackhawks of NHL fame that my friend got me. Alright, back to the point. Looking for Alaska is John Green's first novel and one of his most critically acclaimed and highly awarded novels. Um, and then in my summer of John Green, I already read The Fault in Our Stars, and that kind of influenced me to go pick up all of his other books. So I want to start in chronological order now, which is kind of messed up because I already read the last one. Now I've read the first one. I'm going to move forward through them. So anyway, Looking for Alaska, I've heard a lot about it, and it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Um, Again, some common things, common with The Fault in Our Stars. Um, the characters are really funny. They're really smart. There's a lot of smart dialogue. There's a lot of smart stuff going on. He has a lot of literary references, which excites the nerd in me. Um, and his characters just are geniuses, really, in disguise, which is kind of also a criticism that I've heard. Anyway, it I don't want to get into the story. It's kind of cool how it's formatted. There's a countdown to an event, and then a count away from the event after. The book's been out since 2005, so I mean, I could say what happens, and it's not that. I mean, it is a big deal, but I kind of already knew it didn't ruin the book for me. But just to be polite, I won't say what happens. But it's like halfway through the book, and it's definitely like the hinge moment. Um, so to get to some criticisms that I've heard of this book, because it seems like John Green's books receive a lot of praise, and then they have you love it or hate it, really. You have a lot of people who say like, "Oh, it's brilliant," and then you have people who just bash it into the ground. And some of the things I've heard are um, that the girl Alaska, they're not looking for the state Alaska. It's a girl whose name is Alaska. She's a friend. It's about three friends. The main character, the narrator, Miles, who goes by the name Pudge, and then Chip, who goes by the name the Colonel, and then Alaska, whose name is Alaska, and they have another friend, another two friends, but they're not as involved really. Um, and it's at their experience at a boarding school. Chip or Miles um, goes to the boarding school seeking a more interesting life, or the great perhaps, as he calls it. He's obsessed with people's last words before they died, famous last words, and he brings them up a lot. Anyway, he befriends the Colonel, and then through the Colonel meets Alaska, who he's in love with. She's kind of unattainable, hippie, really mercurial kind of person. But anyway, so one of the criticisms of Alaska is just a bitch. And that's kind of true. She says it herself that there are moments she's super nice sometimes and then just unbearable other times. And she has her own reasons for doing that. And then people complain like, "Oh, well, that's just stupid. She's just dumb." But I feel like that's true. But in real life, people react the same way, even to stuff that happened a long time ago. And they'll be like that. That's a human thing, even if it doesn't make sense to some people or, you know. And you don't always have to have perfect characters, be perfect people, or even good people. That's not interesting. I'm not in love with their character, but she's also not necessarily supposed to be, um, perfect, or the main person is more like an idea. I think the catalyst for the coming of age part of this. Sorry about that. Anyway, the coming of age part. And then you have Miles, who people complain is a little bit mopey, and he is. And some of the things he thinks, like he deserves her love, even though he hasn't really earned it or done anything besides just kind of hang around. And I kind of get that. It is. That's not necessarily a good way of thinking, but it, again, I think is a very honest look at how, especially younger people, just your emotions are so high, but you don't really understand love and like the commitment and everything. So maybe, I think that's a really honest way of looking at it. I'm sure there are a lot of young men. I know I felt that way when I was younger. Sometimes I'd be like, "Oh, I'm nice, so they should like me," but that's stupid. Um, and then, I mean, the criticisms are what they are, and no book is perfect. But sometimes I feel like part of it probably is the audience, as you have a lot of really passionate people who aren't necessarily, because it's young adult, either they're younger and they haven't been exposed to a lot of literature, or it's people who just generally don't read that much. Um, so I think they don't look at it as literature, but more as almost like the same way you look at a TV show or something like that, where you just don't like a character, so you don't watch. And you don't necessarily look for deeper meaning or whatever. And to each their own, really. It's it's what you want to do for your spare time. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a different way of looking at it. Um, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty honest as far as young adult novels. A lot of again, like I said, I haven't been a young adult reader for uh, a long time. I pretty much stopped reading young adult books when I was like 12. Yeah, somewhere around there, 10, 12. So like 10 to 13 years ago, I stopped reading young adult. So I'm not necessarily updated on the more contemporary stuff, but it was pretty honest, and he included a lot of cursing, and there are sexual situations, but I felt it was done in kind of like a humorous, honest to the character way, because it wasn't like gratuitous or graphic, but it was kind of funny, and I feel like he did it in a way that would be honest to kids in high school who don't really know what they're doing, or don't really understand the impact of all their decisions yet. So I thought that was nice. I thought it was interesting, and to include a lot of cursing in your dialogue. Because let's be honest, it's about the two main characters are dudes who were 16 at a boarding school. Like, of course they're going to be cursing at each other. That's just what's going to happen, and it's nice to see that you include that instead of dancing around it to maintain like a G rating type of feel. Um, all in all, it was an interesting book. I enjoy John Green's ability to put literary ideas and references and things and interesting quirks into his characters. I feel like he has a very honest writing style. I don't think it's going to be, they're not going to be classics in the sense that, like, they'll be taught in college classes. I think they're fun to read. They're entertaining. They do have good things. And I think if I would have found this book when I was, 13-year-old me, 12-year-old me, I would have loved it and thought it was the greatest thing ever. And it probably would have been like, oh, one of those experience type books. Where it's like, wow, things are different. But unfortunately, 13-year-old me did not find it. 23-year-old me did, and having a few more years to separate me from the target audience, I kind of see some of the things that be a little silly to adults, but at the same time, it's not bad, it's entertaining. So I would suggest picking it up. He's a pretty honest writer, and I appreciate that. So anyway, as always, I'm sorry these videos are going to run long, because I ramble. Summer of John Green. Enjoy your reading. Have a good life. I'll see you later. Chicago Blackhawks.